So another question that we hear a lot is if my pastures are not producing at optimum productivity, or I have maybe a less than desirable forage, say like Endophyte-Infected fescue or Kentucky bluegrass, Reed's canary grass, something like that, what should I do? Should I renovate? And if I renovate, what should I plant in there as an improved variety, improved cultivar? Well, we have to ask ourselves the question, what is more economically feasible and what is going to give us the greatest and most longest lasting impacts, okay? And the majority of the time, that is not doing a pasture renovation. Pasture renovations are never cheap. If we're doing a full pasture renovation and we have to kill out Endophyte-Infected fescue first, and if you're going to replace it, that is precisely what you have to do. Then you have to prepare your ground for planting the improved variety. If you're coming back in with, say, a endophyte-friendly fescue, or you're coming back in with a brome grass or orchard grass or whatever it may be, then you've got to prepare your ground. Then you've got to buy the seed, plant the seed, and to plant the seed, you're spending labor, fuel, maintenance, depreciation, and so forth to get that done. Then you have the establishment time of that new variety, that new cultivar. So you cannot graze it during that establishment time. And 9 times out of 10, what are you going to do when you plant? You're also going to fertilize, because you figured if I spend all of this money eradicating, spraying for and eradicating the undesired, the Endophyte-Infected fescue or whatever I don't want, and then I spend all this money preparing my ground, buying the seed, planting that, I'm also going to fertilize it to give it a good start, right? That's what we want. We want a good start. Now you add up the cost of that, where you have that ground out of production for an entire year or more. And we've run these numbers over and over. Your minimum cost on that, all included, is at least $800 an acre, and sometimes well over $1,000 an acre. I call that buying my own land all over again. Why do I want to do that when I have better options? So what are our better options? Is Endophyte-Infected fescue really a highly undesirable forage? Is Reed's canary grass or anything else, or Kentucky bluegrass, really an undesirable forage? If we can build complexity and diversity, as we've talked about, in that same pasture where we have the Endophyte-Infected fescue, where we have the Kentucky bluegrass, where we have the Reed's canary grass, or whatever that, quote, undesirable forage is, then we are renovating our pastures and mitigating the negative impacts of that one particular plant species. That is far, far cheaper. I have missed no grazing time whatsoever. I did not have to spend money on spraying and killing, on ground preparation, on fuel, labor, fertilizer, and all of that. And I didn't have to spend that year when I couldn't have my livestock on that field. So I saved a ton of money. I have diluted out that Endophyte-Infected fescue or anything else that may be undesirable, and I've created what I like to call a salad bar out here that has this multitude of plant species. Now, but it goes deeper than that, and here's why. What we have found is that even with things like Endophyte-Infected fescue, now of course with that, it's the endophyte that creates the negative issue for our livestock. But that endophyte is also the very thing that allows that fescue to persist. Often what we see with endophyte-friendly and endophyte-free fescues is that they have a problem persisting. So we spend all of that money eradicating the Endophyte-Infected fescue, preparing our ground, planting, holding livestock off, and then it'll last 5, 8, 10 years. And then that stand is significantly diminished. So then where are we? Now we've got to buy our land over again and again. That's not a very good proposition, and it's not a sound financial proposition. So if we use our livestock as the tool to improve our pastures, and we absolutely can do that through adaptive high stock density grazing, then we can tap the latent seed bank that is available already right here underneath our feet. And what we have found, we've done this all across the US. We've done this across Canada, from Nova Scotia to British Columbia. We've done it in Mexico and South America, and it's been done in many other countries around the globe. We have found that everywhere we go, temperate, cold, warm, arid, doesn't matter, or any country, everywhere has a viable, latent, tappable seed bank that by using our livestock under high densities with frequent movement and frequent rest in those paddocks, we can encourage that latent seed bank, which is free to us, to express itself and to proliferate.
What I've noticed here is that I was always told if you have Kentucky 31 fescue, you have a monoculture and you can't help yourself. That's what you're burdened with. And so you take advantages of the advantages it offers, and that's what you're going to get. And it does have some nice advantages, but it has some horrific disadvantages as well.
Right.
And so I came here and they don't have a monoculture. You know, that's the thing that's neatest about it. And Steve once said to me, was a pretty good weed farmer. And then he pointed out all the so-called weeds that, you know, that we prefer to call forbs now because they really are forages. And pointed out to me how the cattle were eating, a high percent of them. And what they didn't eat, they'd trample. But and then the condition of the livestock. Part of that's probably animal breeding, but part of it's grazing management as well. That there's just excellent animal condition. Every time I see them, the cattle are just in wonderful condition.
So lots of benefits there. Again, consider carefully whether you really want to pay for your land all over again and again, or can we use our livestock as a tool to do that job for us?